For our fans, powerboat competition is the ultimate. Sleek racecraft dancing in a ballet of power and finesse across the open ocean. The reward, a checkered flag at the end for some, and for others a long trip home on a trailer. However, come the second weekend of August, a unique competition takes place off the coast of Southern California. A race that not only pits sleek racecraft against one another, but also added to the mix a 200-foot ski rope and a water skier or two. Oh, did we mention that you have to cross 62 miles of open ocean, contend with dense fog, find the turn at the halfway point, and head back, aiming to accomplish this in less than 1 hour? And by the way, there will be more than 100 other teams looking for the same spot on the winner's podium. Coming up next on the only network for competition on the water, it's the granddaddy of performance powerboat competition. And all of the awards that you would want to win in team competition, this would be the one to take home. That is, if you can take the 62 miles of open ocean skiing. So hang on for all the excitement of the Catalina water ski race coming up and only here on Speed Vision.
The granddaddy of all water ski races, as APBA's Competition Offshore is proud to present coverage of the 2000 Catalina ski race. Hello everyone, I'm Ian Howard and I'm joined by veteran racer and novice water skier Ross Wallach. Well Ross, we've covered a variety of powerboat racing this season, but this time you've got a racer on the end of a tow rope.
It's the 52nd annual Long Beach Catalina ski race. Water ski racing at its best. Teams from around the country and around the globe coming to test their mettle and endurance against the Catalina Challenge. 62 miles round trip from Long Beach to Avalon and back. Whoever gets back, it's the winner. It's the overall. Conditions look right on the water today where records might fall.
Well, 24 classes in all, more than 120 different teams set to compete, and the men's open winner should come back in about 52 minutes. Conditions also ripe, as Ross said, so we'll see how it turns out as we get set to host the 2000 Catalina ski race.
It's south of downtown Los Angeles by some 30 miles and more well known for the majestic Queen Mary and its world-famous Grand Prix race. But Long Beach has long been known as a haven for extreme powerboat competition. And as it has for the past 52 years, the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club has held a competition worthy of worldwide recognition, the Catalina Ski Race. Begun in the early days of powerboat competition, skiers would get behind every type of boat, such as Chris Craft's, Chiata's, Hallett's, and ski to the small island of Catalina, some 31 miles off the coast.
Well, this race has been going on since 1949, I believe. In 1949, there was 5 racers that started the race, and there was only 2 that finished. And in the last few years, we've had well over 100, 120, 130 boats entered, and next year, mark my words, I think that we will see probably over 200 entries. It's just really growing big, and I look forward to this race being the best race we've ever had at the Catalina ski race.
Among the many activities that surround the Catalina ski race is the annual Physically Challenged Children's Day. Sponsored by Dick Simon Marine, the Mex Mill Company, along with other numerous sponsors, this day-long activity allows those not as fortunate as others an opportunity to share in the fun of the race and a chance to partake in a number of activities related to water sports. And coming up next, get set for more than 100 teams to take the green flag as Dick Simon Marine presents the 52nd running of the world's greatest water ski race, and only here on Speed Vision. Coverage of the 52nd annual Catalina ski race has been made possible by Dick Simon Marine, by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club, by Lyle Turbosonics, and by the West Coast Long Beach Hotel. It's a foggy, cool morning in Southern California along the Pacific Ocean as we near start time for the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race. Well, the crowd has been gathering for hours already. It's tough to get a shoreline seat unless you're here early. And here's one of the great spectacles of the Catalina ski race, the dropping off of IDs to the officials. And by doing this, each and every participant is accounted for. And once the race is over, he or she can pick up their IDs, hopefully with a trophy attached. And here's one of the main participants in this race. There's Dick Simon. F269 runs Dick Simon Marine, one of this year's major sponsors for the Catalina ski race, as we now turn our attention to the weather conditions here, Ross.
Well, the weather conditions, Ian, look for temperatures in the low 70s approaching race time. Heavy cloud cover, which is not uncommon for the Long Beach Harbor. About a 5-mile-an-hour wind blowing out of the west. Water conditions very calm, maybe a slight chop, Ian.
And now to the classes, Ross. 21 in all, everything from the men's open, where you'll see competitors finish in less than an hour, all the way to the junior boys and girls classes that feature skiers 15 and younger. Of note before we get started as well, the all-time record, 52 minutes, 3 seconds, set by Carlo Casa of Italy back in 1996. However, Carlo not here. He's competing in the European Cup, so we'll see who walks away with this year's overall trophy.
Here's the course that awaits the competitors. It's 62 miles from start to finish. 31 miles out, 31 miles in. All the boats and skiers will start in the Long Beach Harbor, head south through the Long Beach Breakwater, and exit through the Queens Gate opening. Once in the open ocean, they'll head south until reaching Avalon Harbor at Catalina Island, circle the turnboat, and head straight back to the Long Beach Harbor and the awaiting finish line.
Well, all the boats look to be in position, more than 100 in all inside of Long Beach Harbor. The boats that are 24 feet and over are to your right, as you see on your TV screen, and all the boats 24 feet and under are to their left, and they're all behind an imaginary start line, and if anybody were to cross that line, they would be disqualified. We're waiting for the flare to go off. That would signify the start. We have an onboard camera for this Catalina ski race, that aboard Lou Lyle's 38-foot Formula. He'll be pulling veteran skier John Beresford. Of the veteran men's class, Tim Delvin is the navigator with Chuck Bueller. He's the observer. Well, we're just seconds from the start of the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race, and it looks like we have a start now as all the boats go throttle down, and the Dick Simon Marine 52nd running of the Catalina ski race is off and running. 100+ competitors out inside of Long Beach Harbor. Everybody's going to be aiming for the breakwater here, Ross, as we go on board. Lou Lyle, once again, he's pulling the veteran skier John Beresford a little late off the gate here, Ross. As he hits the throttle, you can see everybody inching into position. That's Lou Lyle on throttles. You can see John Beresford, the veteran skier, in behind. He's on plane now. And Ross, as we see all the boats going by, this is where you have to have nerves of steel to hit that breakwater.
A quarter of a mile across, all the skiers, all the drivers, all the observers, really frantic time as they approach that breakwater, and the bottleneck begins. What must go through the drivers' minds as well as the skiers when they're coming up on this, trying to find the hole, trying to find the clean water, get to the open ocean as quick as possible, and a beeline to Avalon Harbor.
On board we go once again. Lou Lyle's 38-foot Formula. John Beresford once again in behind. They were a little bit slow off the start, and what a great shot here. All the teams going by. Almost reminds you of a stampede of buffalo across the plains. 100+ competitors all aiming for the breakwater.
It's billed as the world's greatest ski race, and now you see why, Ian. We've got 21 classes of boats all competing at this first great start for the 52nd running of the Dick Simon Long Beach Catalina ski race.
Well, this is basically where everybody's got to be gung-ho. We go on board again. Lou Lyle, 38-foot Formula, really an ideal boat for this open ocean water. You can see Tim Delvin giving him a pat on the back. John Beresford, veteran skier, in behind. Right now, all these teams basically just trying to find the open, clean water for their skiers, but that bottleneck's something else. And look at the boats now through the Queens Gate breakwater and to the open ocean, Ross. Look at the bottleneck here. More than 100 different race teams, and this is where it gets really hairy.
The open class boats, they're the fastest, but don't count out all the other classes which are piling in behind. Anybody has a mistake or a misstep during this crucial period, Ian, it could be all over with in an instant.
Well, on board again we go with Lou Lyle. Again, nerves come into play at this point, Ross. You don't want to go down in this water at this point, as you have 100+ competitors on your toes all around you. And a great shot here. Everybody now into the open ocean. You can see all the helicopters above here. This is where, once again, everybody's going to try to find the cleanest water possible. see if there's any surprises here as well, Ross. See if some of the big names in the men's open class as well as the women's open class will head to the front of the pack. But a great start here. Look at everybody in line as they head to Avalon Harbor to Catalina Island.
And we're looking to see who's going to take control of this race and look for Carl Goldsmith, the 1999 Catalina Hall of Fame winner, a time of 56 minutes, 39 seconds in 1999. He's going to see if he can do it again this year and beat the time. But look for the youngster, the up-and-comer who was denied last year. That's Todd Haig, age 20, out of Beaumont, California. He's looking to be one of the favorites. Also, Marty Wells.
And the teams that have emerged with the lead, a pair of men's open competitors. Todd Haig to the outside, top of your screen, being pulled by the bright red boat. And then to his inside, Marty Wells, second overall last year in this Catalina ski race. He's being pulled by the F272. So Haig and Wells, the early pace setters. So no real surprise here by any means. The top teams in this men's open class should finish in less than an hour as you get that shot of Todd Haig. He's the overall leader here early on. And when we come back to the 2000 Dick Simon Marine Catalina water ski race, can Todd Haig continue to pace the field? You'll have to stay with us to find out right here on Speed Vision. Welcome back to the world's greatest water ski race. It's the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race, presented to you by Dick Simon Marine. And you get a look overhead of all the crowd that is gathered here for this very special event. And we left off with these two, Todd Haig and Marty Wells, battling for the overall here in the open ocean of the Pacific. And they were the first two to exit the breakwater. We told you earlier the record in this 62-mile ski race, 52 minutes, 3 seconds, set by Carlo Casa, who's not here racing this year. That was set back in 1996. And Ross, how much will fatigue and how much will a race like this take a toll on some of these ski racers, 62 miles long?
These racers are the best in their field, Ian, as they come here from all corners of the globe to race this race. Fatigue is a factor for everybody. It's the mental toughness as well as the physical toughness that it's going to take to persevere and finish this race. Remember, it's not just the skier out there, it's the driver, the throttleman, the navigator, and the observer, making sure they're all working in concert to finish this race.
Well, Stephen Robertson, he's back in third place right now in the men's open class. As we get that quick peek at him, now we go back to Peter Bertels racing out of Belgium. He's back in fourth place in the men's open class, and it's easy to get behind quick in these classes, Ross. These guys will average, or at least the top guys will average, about 70 miles per hour over the course of this race, and at some points of the race can even reach 100 miles per hour on the straightaways. And Paul Robertson, fifth place right now, being pulled by a 39-foot fountain. And really, the transformation of this sport, Ross, since it first began in 1949, is incredible as well. The fact that the equipment has come a long ways, and the transportation pulling these racers is really state-of-the-art these days.
When Ed Stanley won the inaugural Catalina ski race in 1949, the mark to beat was an hour, 41 minutes, 31 seconds. Carlos Casa smashed that record in 1996 at 52 minutes, 3 seconds. Todd Haig, Carl Goldsmith, and Marty Wells all looking to challenge Carlo Casa's record and take home the victory.
And with competition so fierce and no clear favorite to win it all this year, we had a chance to talk with Justin Frank, the men's open class, and here's what he said about who might walk away with this year's overall title.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple favored people, but that doesn't really mean anything to me, especially in this kind of race. There's just so many variables. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been a little kid or been older and hear the people on the radio, oh, the race is won, they got this, they're 4 or 5 mile lead and whatnot, and their boat breaks, or they fall, or a rope breaks, or they run out of gas, or, you know, there's so many variables. Just, you know, you got your world champion skiers, you got your top skiers from all the countries and your international competitors, but to be honest with you, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, Justin Frank talked about the variables that might affect the competitors, and by the looks of things, Paul Robertson, racing out of his home country of Australia, looks like he may have lost his rope. He's in the water, so it'll be tough for him to make up the time on the leaders. He had been running fifth, and we had a chance to talk to Flemming Petersen of Denmark of the men's opens class before the race, and here's what he mentioned about navigation.
At the 50th anniversary to ski it, and I was behind a 20-foot Spectra, and it was not a good idea. Well, it was bad water, and I even though we had all the equipment, I don't think we prepared ourselves right, and we never found the island. I skied an hour, never found the island, so I'm hoping this year I'll find the island.
Well, hard to imagine being lost at sea as Peterson was, but it's tough when the cloud cover is low as we get a look at our overall leader, Todd Haig, Beaumont, California. Haig ran here last year, was unable to finish. He needs to get to the halfway mark in about 26 minutes, Ross, if he has any chance of besting the mark of Carlo Casa's 52:03 set back in 1996.
And Todd Haig, you saw just motioning to his observer to hit the throttle up. He knows he can pick up the pace. The water conditions very smooth. He's running a great race out there, and it looks like if he keeps this up, he might be on pace to beat Carlo Casa's record.
Marty Wells remains a couple of seconds back. Everyone seems to have found their rhythm here, Ross, and the skiers and the observer whose sole job it is to watch the skier and to remain contact with him. He also serves as kind of a liaison, Ross, between what's going on inside the boat as well as what's going on with the skier. Very important role that observer has as we see Marty Wells right now in second place.
As we've seen, Ian, in the history of this great, rich sport of water ski racing, it started really with the flat bottoms, the Garwoods, the Glenwoods, the Chris Crafts, and the racing crafts, all the way through the 70s where the Chiatas and the Levy crafts with the Vs, the semi-Vs. Now we have the Fountains and the Formulas and the Scarabs, which are really the deep V boats. This is really what's responsible for making the overall speeds increase and the times to win decrease.
Here's the rest of the field in behind Ross, and at this point of the race, when they're out in the open ocean, so many things must be on the tips of these competitors' minds. Will I make it? Will the equipment stand up to the task? As we see Stephen Robertson racing out of Australia here. And I guess it's important to note, as we've covered offshore racing for so long, you can see the attitude of the boat, Ross, flat dead in the water. What exactly does that mean?
The attitude of the boat is really critical for the skier as he needs the V-bottom to plow through the water, creating almost a flat carpet-like running surface for the racer.
You can see these boats, tabs down, drives fully tucked in and full throttle ahead, as Ross said, laying that nice carpet down for these water ski racers. And here's our first glance at the Women's Open. Ashley Lathrop, Lake Havasu City, Arizona. She's just 16 years of age. She won the junior girls class last year in a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, 35 seconds. And before the race, we had a chance to talk with one of the very best in the sport. That's Lori Dunsmore and her thoughts on the competition and teamwork. And here's what she said about working together.
Teamwork. It is a team. It's the driver, navigator, observer, and skier. It's not just the skier. You know, it's all put together in one, and that's the big reward. Not money, not the trophies, nothing. That's just the reward of finishing.
Well, Lathrop leads it. You heard Dunsmore talk about teamwork, and Lathrop's team seems to be working well together. The all-time record set by Debbie Norblad back in 1996, a women's open record, 59 minutes and 8 seconds. So Ashley Lathrop hoping to make it to Catalina Island in about 25 minutes. We'll see if she can hold on. And when we come back to the 2000 Dick Simon Marine Catalina Water Ski Race, we'll have action from the intermediate, senior, and veteran classes, so stay tuned for all the excitement right here on Speed Vision. It's a beautiful day in Long Beach, California. Ian Howard and Ross Wallach along with you for the 52nd running of the Catalina Ski Race, presented to you by Dick Simon Marine. We left off with Todd Haig and Marty Wells battling for the overall. Ashley Lathrop leading in the women's open class. And here's Graham Cole of the intermediate men's class. This is a class for men between the ages of 16 and 24. Any type of boat and engine allowed. And Cole, one of the better skiers out here. He finished 9th overall last year, Ross, and was also the intermediate men's champion. So he's looking for a repeat as he's tackling the waters here of the Pacific.
A picture-perfect day for the 52nd running of the Catalina Ski Race. Ian, as fog conditions lifting, the water conditions staying consistent. Marshall O'Keefe being pulled by a 35-foot Formula. He's a few seconds back from Cole.
Well, Graham Cole leads it, as you said, in the intermediate men's class. And Roy Gertig, he's driving this boat. That's a name you may be familiar with, of the Dick Simon Marine Racing Team in Pacific Offshore. He's a veteran driver. And here's Ann Proctor, the leader in the intermediate women's class. Proctor racing out of Australia. And like the intermediate men, this class is for women ages 16 to 24. Any type of boat and engine allowed. Ann and her father, Rick, who's her observer, making the trip out here, as we said, from Australia. And again, a couple of teammates who might sound familiar to you. Ricky Ford and Thaddeus Finley, also a Pacific Offshore fame. Ricky Ford, of course, famous for racing his 40-foot skater out in Pacific Offshore. He set a couple of records. And here's Alex Miranda, a name you're also familiar with, in terms of Pacific offshore racing. He raced in his Warlock last year in Pacific in the E class. He's being pulled here this afternoon by a 29-foot Warlock. You can see him on the carpet being laid out by the 29-foot Warlock ahead of him. You can see him kind of bouncing around. Again, the attitude of the boat is important here, Ross. You can see tabs all the way down, the drive's tucked in, just plowing through the water here kind of like a tank, Ross. And in effect, what that does is lay out that nice carpet for these racers, and they can go along as smoothly as possible, try to attain as high of a speed as possible, and in fact try to set a record, try to get an overall win, and that is exactly what Alex Miranda is doing, but he's back in the pack. And here's Janine Doherty, probably one of the more colorful characters out here racing. She's racing in the senior women's class, Ross. That's intended for ages 25 to 35, and Doherty from Discovery Bay, California. That's up in Northern California. She leads this 5-racer class. Doherty 42nd overall last year, but first in the senior women's class. And we had a chance to talk to Janine before the race, and we asked her what goes through the mind of a racer during the course of 62 miles.
You feel scared, alone. Are you gonna make it? Are your legs hurting? Are your feet numb? You start singing songs. It's amazing to see the big boats start coming back at you, because we're definitely, not as fast as they are, and it's just a sight to see those boats come back past you.
Back to action now in the veteran men's class. Lou Lyle driving this 38-foot formula, and as Ross attested to, mental toughness, physical toughness, so much comes into play. And we had a chance to talk to John Beresford before the race, and John talked about the competition in the veteran men's class.
It's a tough class. At least 2 of the top skiers ever are in that class now, hoping to win overall, men's overall, out of veteran men's class.
Well, Beresford, part of this very tough veteran men's lineup, which features Kurt Schoen, a 4-time winner, also Phil Kramer, those two known internationally for their feats in water ski racing. And Beresford, a big guy, some 235 pounds. He really likes the choppy water because of his weight. Now, the record in this class he's shooting for 55 minutes, 3 seconds, set by Lee Squire. That was back in 1994. To compete in the world's greatest ski race takes top equipment. With more on high performance, here's Lou Lyle with this edition of the APBA Competition Offshore in the Cockpit, presented by Lyle Turbosonic.
Hi, this is Lou Lyle with Lyle Turbosonics. Today we're here to talk about the Turbosonic Performance Cap. Whether you're a ski boat racer like we are here today at the Catalina Ski Race, offshore racer, or even just a pleasure boater, we've developed and designed a product to help eliminate hydraulic oil from spilling into the bilge of your boat from a hydraulic trim pump cap that runs either your stern drive or from your trim tab plates. This cap that fits here on the hydraulic pump reservoir is now a 2-piece design, which eliminates spillage from dripping out into the bilge. So again, no matter what type of boating you do, this is a great way to ensure you're not going to have excess hydraulic oil going into your bilge. And again, it's the Turbosonic Performance Cap.
To the veteran women's class now, Ross. This is for women 36 and older, and Ruth Ellsworth, who holds the distinction for being the last racer to cross the finish line last year at 3 hours, 32 minutes, 7 seconds. She'll be proud to tell you that. She and her husband Jerry, who's an observer for her, along with Mike Checker, all out here aboard this 27-foot Advantage. And before the race, we talked to Ruth, who took up the sport just 4 years ago, and why she got into water ski racing.
Most women, or most of those that participate in this sport, have done it since they were teenagers. I decided 4 years ago I wanted to do this, and I just got out there and started doing it. I really haven't had a lot of formal training. I just have a lot of fun, and I get out there and just do the best I can.
Well, Ruth, who is 59 years of age and will turn 60 next year, will actually have to compete in the Masters class this time next year, as we see her being pulled by F107, a former Factory 1 entry in Pacific Offshore, headed by Mike Checker. And she's on pace right now to shatter last year's mark. When she finished in 3.5 hours, she should break it by at least an hour. And that's Ruth Ellsworth here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, heading towards Catalina Island. She won't be the last one back.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hurley, and I'm Miss Catalina 2000.
And I'm Kelly Winters, Miss Catalina 2000 also. You are watching the Catalina International Ski Race 2000 on Speed Vision.
Welcome back to the 52nd running of the Catalina Ski Race, called the greatest water ski race in all the world, and it's presented to you by Dick Simon Marine. Well, we told you the teams were nearing the midway point of the 62-mile race, and Ross, it looks like some of the teams now are making the turn at Avalon Harbor, so 31 miles in the books. And in fact, some of the top teams in the men's open class as well as the women's open class have already made the turn and are heading for home.
Todd Haig on par with looking to set a record, but this is the place last year where it all came to an end. He was leading, he went into the turn, and the motor blew on his boat. Now we're looking at the same position a year later, but nothing's happening. He's still running, and it looks like it's clear sailing back to Long Beach Harbor.
You got your first glimpse there at Carl Goldsmith, last year's overall winner at 56:39:34, but it doesn't look like he's on pace to repeat this year as he's back in 7th place in the men's opens class. And here's Deanne Shannon, who finished first in the women's open class last year in a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, 59 seconds. She's back in 4th place at this point, a good 2 to 3 minutes back of Ashley Lathrop. And here's F269, the over and back class. Dick Simon, Stefan Gregoire. They're stopping to change skiers here, Ross, so a bit of strategy here. Don Kennedy giving way to his brother Ross Kennedy, who's going to make the final ski leg home. And they're well ahead in this class. In fact, they're on record pace for this over and back class.
You see Dick Simon patiently waiting with Stefan Gregoire, that's Dick Simon's driver in the IRL, the Indy Racing League. He's taking control of the throttles in the men's over and back class. And we had a chance to talk to Ross Kennedy. We asked him before this race how special this race is to him.
When I got married, I stopped for about 10 years, but I never stopped skiing this race. I've always liked this race. Never was real good at sprinting, but long distance, I like.
Well, the over and back leaders now making that final trek home, 31 more miles, and they will have won. You can see Dick Simon waving along with Stefan Gregoire, and now Ross Kennedy in behind. He's the skier. Ross talked about some of the burnout that he suffered in years back, but he has always raced here in the Catalina ski race. He has raced all over the country as well as the world. Right now, the time to beat in this over and back class is 1 hour, 15 minutes, 32 seconds, set last year. And they're on pace to do it. They made the stop at the island in just about 35 minutes. So Gregoire, Dick Simon and company, along with the Kennedys, in good position to set a record here in the year 2000. Here's the double-up class. Craig Bradshaw, who has also raced in Pacific Offshore, along with J.P. Krieger. Doing the skiing, this double-up class is, as you can see, for two skiers of the same sex, any age, with any type of boat and engine that's allowed. They're being pulled by Craig's 30-foot Phantom, which he also uses to run in the Performance 4 class in Pacific Offshore.
But now we turn our attention to boat 287. That's the mixed doubles, pure insanity racing of Mary Porteous and Mark Bennett. This class is for two skiers, obviously. A man, a woman, any age, any type boat, any engine configuration.
And you're right, Ross. We've seen many of these teams compete here on Speed Vision in a lot of different classes. And here's F270, another Pacific Offshore racing team, a novice competition team right now. Ryan Tovat on the end of this ski rope. Well, Tovat back in 5th place. The leader, Jack Holcomb III, a good 6 minutes ahead at this point. Now, this is a beginner's class, any age, either man or woman, and to qualify, you cannot have received points in any sanctioned race other than this novice class and the class record. 1 hour, 12 minutes, 7 seconds, set by Marshall O'Keefe back in 1996, and O'Keefe out here running in the intermediate men's class where he's in 2nd place. Another novice skier, Chris Rice, currently running 11th place right now. He's being pulled by a 24-foot Spectra, his father Alan Rice driving and his brother Sean observing, so a true family affair as Rice tries to make up some ground on Jack Holcomb III, who's the leader in this very big novice class, 14 competitors strong. In fact, it's the largest class out here this afternoon.
Now back to our leader, it's Todd Haig. He's on the way back, and you see the water conditions roughing up a little. He's really got his knees bent, really using them as shock absorbers, trying to get back to the finish line.
And when we come back to the 52nd running of the Catalina water ski race presented by Dick Simon Marine, can Todd Haig continue in his quest for an overall? Will he challenge Carlo Casa's record time of 52 minutes, 3 seconds? You'll have to stay with us to find out right here on Speed Vision. Welcome back to the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race. It's arguably the toughest and most prestigious of all the ski races in the world, and the beautiful Queen Mary serves as an elegant backdrop to the race action out here. As the fog has lifted, the sun is out, And Todd Haig, we left off with him before commercial break, 20 years of age. These are really his home waters, Ross. He was the early leader through the breakwater. He was battling Marty Wells for quite some time before Wells broke down. And Haig setting a very tough pace. He's going to actually challenge Carlo Casa's all-time mark of 52.03 set back in 1996. And his only competition at this point, this is Stephen Robertson back in second place, Ross.
Stephen Robertson from Australia making the trek all the way across the pond to take part in the 52nd running of the Dick Simon Marine Long Beach Catalina ski race.
Well, Robertson about a minute back at this point, and Peter Bertels making the trek all the way out from the country of Belgium. And Bertels racing out here like the Australians, water skiing a huge sport in Europe, as is windsurfing and kayaking. And Bertels made the turn at Avalon in about 27 minutes, and he's on pace to far surpass his effort of last year when he finished in 1 hour, good for 6th overall and 6th in the men's open class. And now back to Ashley Lathrop, Lake Havasu City, Arizona, the junior girls champion from a year ago. She leads it. Lathrop also on pace to shatter her mark from a year ago, which was 1 hour, 8 minutes, 35 seconds. Right now she's on a sub 1 hour pace, but can she keep it up? And here's the intermediate men's leader, Graham Cole. He's led it throughout. Graham made the turn at Avalon in about 28 minutes. Right now he's 5th overall, which would be a huge improvement from a year ago when he finished 9th overall, but more importantly, he would be a back-to-back winner in the intermediate men's class.
And another Australian making the trek across the pond, Ann Proctor. She leads in the intermediate women's class. Ann made the turn at Avalon in about 34 minutes. She's a good half hour above the competition in her class. That's Gina Granada in second, who competed in the mixed doubles class last year.
What's it like to compete in the Catalina ski race? Well, for Double Up team members Craig Bradshaw and Randy Williams, it's the chance to showcase their skills. And for more on this dynamic duo, here's the APBA Competition Offshore Racer Profile presented by Dick Simon Marine. For the team of Craig Bradshaw, J.P. Krieger, and driver Randy Williams, Catalina represents the ultimate in terms of competition.
It's the ultimate ski race. It's the furthest open ocean race. It's 62 miles round trip. Winning it is not the goal, just competing, doing good in your class, and finishing is a feat in itself.
Now driving for the team, Williams has found that his prior experience as a skier has helped the team achieve its goals.
You know, I think all drivers should take a turn at the other end of the rope. I think it really does open up your eyes as to what, you know, the boat may be going through something, and the way it feels in the boat is totally different to how the skier feels that same roll or that same swell or that same wind chop. You know, you may be very comfortable in the boat, but the skier could be hanging on for his dear life.
Making the switch from offshore competition to competing on water skis, Bradshaw has found that it takes a different kind of mental preparation.
It's a little different mindset. It's still a high adrenaline situation, total concentration. It's a little less physically demanding and a little more mentally demanding when you're in a boat driving.
For the team, competing in the world's greatest ski race is likened to another famous race.
It's quite comparable to the Indy 500, which, you know, our title sponsor for this year is Dick Simon Marine, who's been involved in IndyCar racing for many years. And it's sort of, you can draw a relationship there because this is the Indy 500 of water ski racing. It's anybody that's a water ski racer, if they could only race one race a year, this would be it. There would be no question.
And from that racer profile, we come back now to the action in the Formula 2 outboard class, and it's Glenn Anderson who heads this 3-team lineup. This is an outboard class allowing for single engines, any age, and for either man or woman. And Anderson making the switch to this class after running and winning the over and back division a year ago, along with David Frank. Well, we talked about Anderson winning the over and back last year with David Frank. Well, they did it in a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, 32 seconds, and this team here headed by Dick Simon is on pace to better that mark. They made the exchange of skiers at Catalina Island in about 35 minutes, and that's where Don Kennedy gave the rope to his brother Ross, so we'll see if they can set a brand new record in the over and back class. And when we come back to the 52nd running of the Catalina water ski race presented by Dick Simon Marine, the top competitors will be wrapping it up. Who will emerge first? Will any records fall? All these questions, and we'll have the answers when we come back right here on Speed Vision. Welcome back to the 2000 Catalina Water Ski Race, presented to you by Dick Simon Marine. Well, the early morning fog has lifted. However, it's still a bit foggy out at Catalina Island as you get this beautiful shot of downtown Long Beach. Well, the top teams are finishing up this grueling 62-mile marathon, and the first boat to come across the horizon, it looks like it's boat 740. That's Todd Haig, the 20-year-old who has led it virtually wire to wire. He's hoping to become the second consecutive American to win the overall in a row after the Americans were shut out for some 5 straight years. And rounding the final bend past the Queen Mary, Todd Haig. He's out of Beaumont, California. You can see how excited his team is. Everybody throwing their arms in the air. In fact, Todd Haig pumping his fists in exuberation. This will be his first ever win in this Catalina water ski race, and it comes on the heels of last year's disappointing finish in which his team broke down at the midway point, and that left the 19-year-old stranded with the lead, and he's going to cross the finish line in 53:12:43. So Casa's record stands another year, and a great job by Todd Haig. The second boat to come into view, that's the Australian Stephen Robertson, one of 7 Australians competing out here. And look at this view here, Todd Haig, flag in hand. There's your champion for the year 2000 Men's Open winner.
A great scene here. Stephen Robertson, part of the Australian contingency, will finish second overall. Dale Mon, ecstatic hands raised in the air. A great job. Leroy Schneider driving and Darren Cook observing as Robertson will come around and finish with a time of 54:45:20. Let's go now to Ian Howard, who's standing by with the overall winner, Todd Haig.
Todd, tell us about your run taking the Men's Open Championship. I know this has to be an ecstatic moment for you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was last year, we had a boat problem halfway home, and but this year we led it from the breakwater to breakwater. It was awesome. Jack, my team, everything was great. It's perfect.
Graham Cole, who calls Calabasas, California home, led it throughout in the intermediate men's division. Cole, just 17 years of age, was able to hold off 8 other very tough competitors. And Graham Cole, along with his father and brother Jonathan Cole, and observer Ted Hoffman and navigator Michael Schneider, will shatter last year's performance of 104.32. He will come in at less than 1 hour at 57:33:66. So not a record pace, but a great finish for Graham Cole. Kurt Schoen, a 4-time overall champion who first won back in 1985, then followed that up with wins in 88, 89, and 91, will be the next one in. And Schoen's going to finish up at a time of 58:21:99 as he crosses the finish line.
Looks like Joe Brain and John Campagnas battling to the bitter end in the senior men's class. Brain out in front by a mere seconds. And once again, let's head down to Ian, where he's standing by with the veteran men's winner, Kurt Schoen.
Well, we won it 4 times, and we're lucky to hit the finish line after last year. We lost the starter at the start, so it's very gratifying. These little guys, very, very fast. I mean, if the wind blew up, we'd have a better chance, but they're very fast. It's hard to keep up with them.
Joe Brain will finish first in the senior men's, holding off John Campagnas, 7th overall, in a time of 58:57:14.
And the first woman to come into view, Ashley Lathrop from Lake Havasu City, Arizona. She's in her first year in the women's open class. She had been on record pace, the record 59:08 set by Debbie Norblad back in 1996. No other woman has broken that hallowed 1-hour barrier, and the 16-year-old who won the junior girls division last year, shattering the class record by some 12 minutes, will have the best run of her life, 1 hour 17 seconds, as she wins the women's open division.
Intermediate women's class action, Ann Proctor being pulled by the 38-foot formula out of the Dick Simon Marine Camp. Ann is in firm control of this one as we head down once again to Ian, who's got the women's open winner, Ashley Lathrop.
Just 16 years of age. What did it feel like when you made that final turn for home here passing the Queen Mary?
Felt good, but I wasn't sure what place I was in. I just was like, okay, just hold on.
Crossing the finish line, the double-up team of Brent Bauman and Jason Tingley. Back-to-back wins for this pair. They'll finish in a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes, 43 seconds, eclipsing last year's mark of 1 hour and 28:18. And the first over and back team to cross the finish line will be Dick Simon's 38-foot cigarette. Don Kennedy and Ross Kennedy, the skiers. It's Ross who ran the second leg and will finish in a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, 11 seconds, which breaks the record set a year ago of 1 hour, 15 minutes, 32 seconds. And Formula 2 outboard, we saw this team circle at Avalon earlier, and Glenn Anderson with brother Greg driving and wife Kelly observing will finish with a time of 1 hour, 13 minutes, 32 seconds. As we head back down now to Ian, who's standing by with the over and back winners, Don and Ross Kennedy.
How special is this to win it with your brother?
Super. We won double up a few years back. Now this one over and back. I love it.
And when we come back to the 52nd running of the Catalina water ski race presented by Dick Simon Marine, the skiers will continue in their quest to finish this grueling 62-mile race. Will there be any surprises? Will any more class records fall? You'll just have to stay with us for more right here on Speed Vision. The 52nd running of the Catalina water ski race is nearing the end. Todd Haig's boat parked to the left at the winner's dock here. Ashley Lathrop's to the right. And what a day those two had. And we have our first Masters class team to cross the finish line. It's Ken Schmidt, who's been competing since 1968 and won the class last year. And Schmidt will finish up 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 27 seconds. Casey Sharp, a Formula One competitor, will be the first to cross in his class as he's being pulled by a 21-foot Chiata. Casey competed last year in the novice class, and he finishes up in 1:24.10.
Let's head over to Ian, who has the senior women's winner, Janine Doherty.
It roughed up. We were going for the record. We missed it by 4 minutes, so we missed it by pretty far, but it was excellent to come in and see the second place boat come behind us, and we knew for sure we had it, and then it was time to celebrate. It was great.
Jason Hooker of the novice class will finish third behind winner Jack Holcomb, who had a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, 18 seconds. A good job by Hooker and his team. Their final time is 1 hour, 31 even, as we have the winning driver, Bruce Pennell, standing by with Ian.
I had a good time, and that Dick Simon fountain worked really well today, and we had a good time. I'm real happy that the fog lifted and everybody had a good time. We just love this race, 111 boats or something like that. The start is awesome. It's just a whole bunch of fun.
Here's Flemming Peterson with the Danish flag waving. He finished 11th in the men's open class. Remember, 2 years ago, he didn't even finish the race. He and his team got lost going out to Catalina Island. So a proud moment for the Dane.
Well, there's the Channel 9 helicopter, a local affiliate that's been supplying our aerial footage. Mike St. Amand up there working the camera. We had an absolutely beautiful day. The crowd in front of the West Coast Long Beach Hotel has enjoyed every minute of it. Absolutely incredible to see 100-plus competitors all aiming for the breakwater, only to have Todd Haig emerge with the overall win. And now a look at the final results in our 21 classes out here competing today. We had a final tally of 111 different teams. The fastest, once again, Todd Haig, who challenged Carlo Casa's 1996 record of 52:03. Haig came up a bit short, but got the overall victory as he recorded a time of 53:12. Ashley Lathrop was the women's overall champion, the second consecutive year she has done so, as she crossed the finish line in 1 hour, 17 seconds. Well, we saw 5 records fall this year. Joe Brain's 58:57.14 bested the mark of John Belvale's 1 hour, 43 seconds. Lee Squire adds his name to the record book for the second time as he set an expert men's class record of 56:06.38, which was also good for third overall. And our youngest skier, Brady Hoggins, set a new mark to be 2 hours, 15 minutes, 24 seconds, which is a record for best finish by the youngest skier in a race. And I think he also captured the hearts of all who saw him as he earned the loudest ovation of any water skier out here this afternoon. And who can forget about Dick Simon, whose name bears the title for this race? He came in his brand new 38-foot cigarette along with his IndyCar driver, Stefan Gregoire, and pulled Ross and Don Kennedy to a brand new over and back record, 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 11 seconds. So truly a great race had by all, as the remainder of this year's final results flash on by your television screen. Coverage of the 52nd annual Catalina Ski Race has been made possible by Dick Simon Marine. by the Long Beach Boat and Ski Club, by Lyle Turbosonics, and by the West Coast Long Beach Hotel. Welcome back to the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race, called the greatest water ski race in all the world, and it's presented to you by Dick Simon Marine.
Well, the 52nd running of the Catalina water ski race has come to a close, and Ross, we got off to kind of a slow start. We had some hazy conditions this morning, but all in all, temperature absolutely perfect at race time, and the conditions very nice as well.
This proves why it's the granddaddy of all water ski races. The 52nd annual Catalina ski race proved to be, once again, a great challenge. Congratulations to Todd Haig in the men's overall and Ashley Lathrop in the women's overall. Great times. Todd was just shy of another world record, and it looks like some other records did fall, however, this weekend. Great racing action. Proves again why Catalina hosts the best ski race in the world.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this look at the 52nd running of the Catalina ski race. We sure did. So on behalf of Ross Wallach, I'm Ian Howard saying so long once again from Long Beach, California, and we'll see you next time on the water right here on Speed Vision. For the latest on APBA competition, log on to www.speedvision.com.